Good
Abhinav,
evening, ma'am.
Kunandi,
Good evening, ma'am.
Sudhanshu, Anuja. Good evening, beta. How are you all?
Fine.
I request you all to please keep your videos turned on during the entire class. Please keep your videos on. Abhinav and Sudhanshu, please turn on your video. Sudhanshu, can you please turn on your video? I think Ganandeep, Abhinav, and Sudhanshu were not there in the Monday's class, right?
Yeah.
Okay, meanwhile, the others join. I'll just quickly brief you. My name is Monica Ratra, and I'll be taking your chemistry classes. Fine. So, I had given a brief introduction to all the other children who were present in the last class about the chapters which are there in chemistry. Total of 4 chapters are there in chemistry. Fine. I'll just give you a brief introduction. Meanwhile, the other students join, and they have already heard all of this, so it will be helpful for you as well as the ones who are there. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes. So these are the 4 chapters which are there in chemistry syllabus for entire class 10. The first chapter being chemical reactions and equations. Second is acid, bases, and salts. Third is metals and non-metals. Fourth is carbon and its compounds. About acids and bases, we have already studied in class 7th once, a little part of it, and we are going to read it further. I mean, study it further. And then metals, non-metals, we have done in class 8. Carbon and its compound would be new to you. Chemical reactions and equations also, a little bit you would know, and the rest I'll teach you. Fine. So we had started with the chapter in the last class. The main topic which we had covered in the last class were these, the physical and the chemical changes. Fine. Let us just wait for another minute. The others will join. I'll just quickly brief. We will go ahead with the homework and then we are going to move further. Fine. Dhriti, turn on your video. Good evening, dear.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, a big girl. Turn on your video. Dhriti, you too, dear. Turn on your video. So we'll wait for another minute so that the rest students can join and then we will continue. Abhinav, please don't turn off your video. Keep your video on in the entire class. Abhinav and Aman, please turn on your video. Aman, good evening.
Evening, ma'am.
Beta, please turn on your video. Nobody will keep their videos off because I don't want to keep on repeating that same thing and waste my as well as your time saying the same thing. So you will keep your video on during the entire class. Fine. So yeah, for the ones who are new to the class, I just gave a brief introduction that we have to study 4 chapters in chemistry in total, out of which we have already started with the first chapter on Monday, which is chemical reactions and equations. The main thing which we had studied about this chapter on Monday was about the physical and the chemical changes. What are physical changes? The ones which involve the formation of no new substance, whereas what are chemical changes? The ones which involve the formation of new substances always, like we take something and something else is formed, then we say that a chemical change has taken place. Fine. And then in a physical change, there is no change in the chemical composition. Means, for example, we had taken this example, like if we talk about ice, and if it converts into liquid water, then what is the formula of ice? It's the water only in the solid state, so it is H2O. Whereas liquid water, again, it is, what is the formula? H2O only. So the chemical formula remains the same, means that the chemical composition in case of a physical change remains the same. Whereas whenever there will be a chemical change, there will be some reaction occurring, taking place during the change. And that is how we differentiate between what are physical changes and what are chemical changes. Clear, everyone? Anyone has any doubt in any of these topics? Then I had taken a few examples of the same. I had given homework also. I am expecting that all of you must have done the homework in a notebook which is specifically meant to be of chemistry. Or maybe if it is of physics, chemistry, bio also, then you have to like segregate the three parts so that you are able to show it to me whenever I ask you. Or biggest show me where you have done. Just put it in front of the camera so that I can observe. Fine. Ayanaja, you show me. Okay. Dhriti. Okay. Shayan, what about you, dear? Okay. And who else was there? Rest, I think nobody else was there, right? Aryan, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm sorry for
Better
late,
turn
ma'am.
on your video.
I'm sorry
It's
for
okay,
late,
dear.
ma'am. It was not working.
Okay. Turn on your video and please show me the work which I had given, homework which I had given you in the last class.
Ma'am, 1 minute, ma'am.
Okay. You may take that minute. Meanwhile, I'll brief the rest of the things. Fine. So we will be discussing all the homework questions which we had given to these children, and the ones who have joined today, they will be able to very well understand the concept of physical and chemical changes by looking at the questions which I had given for the homework. Fine. And then I had given a few definitions. The first definition being of chemical reaction. I have already uploaded these notes on the app, so whosoever has joined can look at the app and look for the notes. In case you are unable to understand anything, you may come up with your doubts. Fine. So, what are chemical reactions? These are those processes which always involve the formation of new substances. Fine. And then what happens is in this reaction, one or more substances react with each other, lead I forgot to write the word react. React with each other, leading to the formation of one or more new substances. And then we are going to study these in detail. Then we had studied about two other terms, which were reactants and products. Now, what are reactants? Reactants are the things which we take in the beginning. Products are the substances which are formed
Good
at the
evening, ma'am.
end of the process. Good evening, Subhansh. Please turn on your video. Aaron, you also please turn on your video.
Yes, ma'am, I got it, ma'am.
Yeah. Subhansh, you too turn on your video. Okay. So reactants are the substance which we take in the beginning of the reaction. Products are the substances which are formed at the end of the reaction. Fine. Reactants are always written on the left hand side of the reaction, and products are written always on the right hand side of the reaction. Any doubts, anyone till this point?
Ma'am, I brought the homework, ma'am.
Yes, okay, you can show it to me on the camera. Then I'm going to discuss all the homework questions. Okay, fine. I have seen. Subhansh, you too show me the homework, dear. Okay, fine. So now let us discuss those homework questions. Okay, one more definition was there. We will discuss this and then we will come to the homework questions. Balance, unbalance, we will do later. So what is a chemical equation? You understood about what chemical reaction is, in which one or two new substances are formed when one or two substances react with each other. But what is a chemical equation? When we represent this chemical reaction which we have talked about above in the terms of formula or symbol, then we call this chemical reaction as chemical equation. Clear, everyone? Like, for example, I had given the example of burning of magnesium ribbon. So if we take magnesium ribbon and we burn it means it happens in the presence of oxygen. So the symbol of magnesium is Mg. It reacts with oxygen because burning always and always occurs in the presence of air, and it leads to the formation of magnesium oxide, which is a new product. Fine? Any doubt, anyone? Any doubt anyone has? Okay. Sudhanshu as well as Subhansh, your video is turned off. I request you to turn on it. So these were the questions which I had given as homework in the last class. We are going to discuss each one of these, and since there are a few more students than the number of questions, I'll add on one or two more questions. Each one of you will answer at least one question amongst these. Fine. We will start with Anaja. Anaja, can you tell what will be respiration? Will it be a physical change or a chemical change?
Chemical change.
Anaja, your voice is broken. I couldn't hear what you said.
Ma'am, now it's audible.
It's audible now.
Chemical change.
Very good. So now for the ones who have joined just now, you must be thinking, how can we say that that respiration is a chemical change? Children, what respiration is actually? Respiration is the food which we are eating. It is the process in which the food which we are eating, it reacts with the oxygen which we breathe in, and it leads to the formation of carbon dioxide gas, water vapors, as well as it releases energy which we utilize to do any work which we do. So it releases energy in the form of ATP. Clear, everyone? So you can clearly see a reaction which is occurring, and that is why we consider this as a chemical change. Clear? Sudhamshu as well as Siddhishri, I request you to turn on your video.
Ma'am, I can't turn on my video.
Better then you have to post the message in the group. Please do that. Yes. Subhansh, please tell me about the next answer. Making roti on a tawa. What do you think? Is it a physical or a chemical change?
Chemical change.
Yes. Now, why it is a chemical change? Obviously, you cannot see any reaction which is happening on the tawa, or you cannot see any reaction which is happening to the roti. But you can clearly see that this particular change cannot be reversed, first thing. Secondly, you cannot get back the dough from which you had made the chapati or the roti. So that is why this particular change is considered to be a chemical change. Clear? Fine. Siddhishri, go ahead and tell me about crystallization. I had explained in the last class. Siddhishri. Okay, Abhigya, can you tell?
Crystallization is a physical change.
Yes. Crystallization is basically what is crystallization? First, you should be aware about that. So, crystallization is the process in which an impure salt is converted into a pure salt in the form of crystals. So it's the same salt which we had taken in the beginning, and it's the same salt which is formed at the last. But the difference is that initially what we took was the impure salt, but what is formed is in the form of crystals. Clear, everyone? Any doubts, anyone? Abhinav, can you tell me about the next question? Please read the question as well as tell me the answer.
Formation of water droplets on the surface of ice cold water. It's a physical change because
Yes, because no new substance. Earlier also it was water, and later also it was water. So again, it's a physical change. Fine. So Siddhishri, can you answer now? No. Aryan,
Yes,
please
ma'am.
tell me about evaporation. What do you think? Is it a physical or a chemical
Ma'am,
change?
physical change, ma'am.
Yes. Again, it's a physical change because it involves only the change of physical state. Nothing new is being formed. Then, Sudhamshu, have you answered any question till now?
No, ma'am.
Okay, tell me the answer of this then. Melting of ice cream, what do you think it would be? Physical or a chemical change?
Ma'am, I think it's physical change.
Right, that's absolutely correct because first of all, nothing new is formed, only the ice cream melts. Second of all, we can convert the melted ice cream back into the solid ice cream, right? Then, Aman, can you tell me about the next question, burning of magnesium ribbon?
Ma'am, is it a chemical change?
Yes, all the processes which involves the term burning, are chemical change because burning means the reaction of any substance with oxygen. Clear? Okay, Abhinav, I think you had already answered once.
Yes, ma'am.
Aman, you?
Ma'am, I just answered.
Okay. Shayan, now it's your turn. Tell me about electrolysis of water.
Ma'am, it's a physical change.
No, it is a chemical change. I was skeptical about it if anyone would be doing it correctly or not. Anyone who has written it as a chemical change?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am, me.
Okay. Those who have written it as a chemical change, that's absolutely correct. And I'll tell you why it is a chemical change. Because electrolysis, basically, electro word is related to what? Electricity. So when we pass electricity through water, then it breaks down to give us which two gases? Hydrogen and oxygen. Clear? This is a chemical reaction which is happening, and the water has converted into hydrogen and oxygen, which are the new products. Clear, everybody? Ganandeep, can you tell me about the I part, which is formation of steam from liquid water?
It's a physical change.
Yes. Again, steam is water only in the gaseous form, and the liquid water is converting into the steam. That means the gaseous state. So it's a physical change. I would like to ask whose chance is left to answer. Siddhishri, can you answer now? Siddhishri. Okay. Sudhanshu, turn on your video. Who is left? Dhriti, you are left to answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me about the formation of rust.
Ma'am, chemical change.
Change what?
Ma'am,
Sorry,
chemical
I
change.
couldn't hear. Yes, again, it's a chemical change because what is rust actually? It is the formation of a new substance on iron object. Fine. So that is why it is a chemical change. So I would just like to ask from all of you if anyone has any doubt in any of these questions.
No, ma'am.
Those who have joined today or
No, ma'am.
previously. Is there anyone who was there in the previous class and all the answers are correct? Raise your hands. If anyone. Abhigya, Dhriti, Anuja, Subhansh. Okay, very nice. Okay, children. So now we will move to our next topic, which is characteristics of a chemical change, and it is an absolutely interesting topic. It involves so many reactions. You have to learn so many reactions, and also you have to remember a few things, but it is so interesting. Aman, please turn on your video. Good evening, Zoha. You have joined quite late, 15 minutes you're late.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, actually,
Good
I was
evening.
having some internet issues, so I joined right now.
Okay. So, beta, you can refer to the video which I have just explained, because I cannot go back and explain all those again because we have to start with the new topic. But whatever doubts you will have, I will surely clear those. Right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, dear. So the next topic is very, very interesting, which is the characteristics of a chemical change. Basically, what does this mean? This means that chemical change or chemical reaction, whatever way you write it, this basically means how do you come to know that a chemical reaction has taken place. See, we have told you a few things, a few reactions, that this is a chemical change because the reaction is happening. But how will you judge whether a chemical reaction has taken place or not? So there are 6 main points. We will be studying about one reaction minimum in all the 6 points, and I'll be explaining all of them to you. So the first and the foremost thing which you can observe is the evolution of gas. Means whenever you observe any gas being released during a chemical reaction, Then you say that a chemical reaction has taken place. Example for this which I will give you is the reaction of any metal. You take any metal, when it reacts with any acid, it leads to the formation of salt plus hydrogen gas. All the acids leads to the formation of which gas? Hydrogen gas. Fine. Now, there are mainly 2 or 3 gases which you have to study in the entire chemistry of class 10th. There are number of gases, but then what you are supposed to study in chemistry are very few. So for now, you should be knowing about 2 main gases, the one being hydrogen and also the another being carbon dioxide. So how do you test for the presence of hydrogen gas? How do we know that a reaction has taken place or if hydrogen gas has been released? So hydrogen gas burns with a pop sound when a burning candle is brought near to it or a burning matchstick is brought near to it. Is it clear? Brought near to it. So whenever we observe this particular thing, then that means that a chemical reaction has taken place and the gas released is hydrogen gas. Clear? I'll give you the example in the form of chemical equation also. Like if we talk about zinc metal, when it reacts with hydrochloric acid, it leads to the formation of zinc chloride and hydrogen gas. Any doubts, anyone? Clear, everybody? Okay, another important thing to be noted here is that we always represent the release of the gas by an upward arrow. So the upward arrow represents the evolution of gas. Whenever there is this upward arrow, that means a gas has been released. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? Okay, so let's move further then. Okay, so next thing is which we have to study. Just a second, children. I'll just come to the new page. Then next is the release of carbon dioxide gas. So how do you come to know if carbon dioxide gas is released or not? So we will be studying one reaction related to that. So when metal reacts with when metal carbonate reacts with any acid, it leads to the formation of salt plus here only water plus carbon dioxide gas. Fine. So what is the test of hydrogen gas? It turns lime water milky. For now, you just know this, that carbon dioxide gas turns lime water milky. Any doubts? Anyone has any doubt? Lime water milky. So this was about the evolution of gas. Mainly you have to study about these 2 gases only. The one being hydrogen, which burns with a pop-up sound, and carbon dioxide gas, which turns lime water milky. Let us come to the second characteristics, which will help you identify if there has been a chemical reaction which has taken place or not. So that is change in color. Means initially the reaction had some color and finally the reaction had some other color. So you can compare the change in the color and you can conclude that a chemical reaction has taken place. So very simple and easy example I'll give you. Have you seen iron nails at your home? Yes or no? Have you seen iron nails at your home?
Yeah, ma'am.
So they are gray in color, right? So when they react with copper sulfate solution, which is blue in color, it leads to the formation of iron sulfate and copper metal. This iron sulfate is green in color, and the copper which is formed, it deposits on the iron metal, which appears as a reddish brown solid on the gray iron. So you are very well able to observe this reaction of the formation of ferrous sulfate and copper. Clear, everyone? Any doubts, anyone? Just a second, children. My screen share got disconnected. So I'll just quickly join in again. Okay, so these were the two things I have told you till now. Then let us come to the next thing, which is I'm really sorry, children. I don't know what happened with the internet and I got disconnected. I hope my screen is visible. And everyone, please turn on your video. Okay. Yeah. So second thing was the change in the color. And let us come to the third thing. Third characteristic which we are going to observe is change in state. Basically, what does change in? Yes.
मैम चेंज इन कलर से पहली वाली स्क्रीन पे मेरे को विजिबल नहीं थी.
Okay. So this was the characteristic which I had explained, which is the evolution of the gas, in which I had explained about the two main gases which you have to study. The first one is hydrogen gas, which is mainly released when metals react with acid. And this hydrogen gas, how do you test that the gas which is released is hydrogen? That is when we burn this gas, when we bring a burning candle near to this gas and it burns with a pop sound. Clear? Then next was the carbon dioxide gas. What is the test for carbon dioxide gas? It turns lime water milky. Clear? Any doubts till these 2 points? Shayan, Ganandi, Aman, Abhigya, Siddhishri, anyone?
No, ma'am.
Abhinav? Are you all able to catch up?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Next is the change in state. State means the physical state. For example, when we talk about the physical state of water, it is in liquid state. When we pass electricity through water, then what do we observe? We observe that it gets broken down into hydrogen and oxygen, which are gases. So here you can very well and clearly observe that the liquid water got converted into what? The gaseous state. Is it clear, everyone? Any doubts? Okay. Then let us come to the fourth characteristic. The fourth characteristic is the change in, no, we will change it to the formation of precipitate. Now, what is a precipitate? Can anyone tell me if you know what is a precipitate?
Ma'am, an insoluble, what do you say, substance, ma'am. Like it's
Salt? Yeah, it's absolutely correct. Very good. What is a precipitate? It is an insoluble salt which is formed during any reaction. Insoluble salt formed during a reaction. See, children, you are going to observe the formation of any salt only when it is insoluble. If it is soluble, obviously you will not be able to know that it is, any salt has been formed during a reaction. So whenever a salt is formed, then and that is insoluble, we call that salt as precipitate. The short form to write precipitate is PPT. It's not the PPT which you study for computers. It is the small p, small p, small t. Whereas what you study in computers is capital P, and capital T. Fine. And then let us look at one example. Another thing before I give you the example, the representation of formation of like what was the representation of the evolution of gas? Tell me.
Upward arrow.
Yes, it was upward arrow. Whereas if we talk about the formation of precipitate, it is always a downward arrow in the bracket. Clear, everyone? Now let us look at the example. So this is lead nitrate, PbNO3 whole twice. When lead nitrate reacts with potassium iodide, it leads to the formation of, see children, for now you might be thinking there are so many reactions, but by the end of the chapter, I'm very sure you will be thorough with all the reactions. You would be knowing all the reactions by yourself because we have to study the types of reactions in the later end of the chapter. Fine. So it leads to the formation of PbI2, which is lead iodide. It is yellow in color. So you observe the formation of yellow salt which doesn't dissolve in water. So clearly you get to know that a precipitate has been formed. Clear, everyone? Anyone, any doubt till here? So till now we have studied the evolution of gas, change in color, change in state, then formation of precipitate. Let us come to the fifth one, which is the change in temperature. Now there are two conditions which can happen in this case also. Either the reaction mixture will become cold or the reaction mixture will become hot. There are only two things which can happen, right? So we divide these further into two types. Either we say that the reaction mixture becomes hot or we say that the reaction mixture becomes cold. So we divide these into exothermic and endothermic reaction. Exothermic and endothermic reactions. So what happens in the exothermic reactions, I'll tell you, and then in the endothermic reactions, you should know it in the form of difference also, and you should know, you should be able to identify what are exo and what are endothermic reactions. So what are exothermic reaction? In which heat is evolved, means we observe the rise in temperature. Any doubts? And if we talk about endothermic reaction, in this, the heat is absorbed, and we observe the fall in temperature. I'll give you one example of both of them. So example for this one is the addition of water to quicklime. Addition of water to quicklime. Fine. And example for endothermic reaction would be the reaction of barium hydroxide with ammonium chloride. It leads to the formation of ammonium chloride and ammonium hydroxide plus barium chloride. Barium chloride. Clear? Any doubts still here? And the very last characteristic which we are going to observe is change in odor. You know what is odor? The last one is change in odor. Odor basically means smell. Like there are some reactions which involve the formation of certain gases or certain substances which have characteristic smell. Certain substances which have characteristic smell. Characteristic smell. For example, when iron sulfide reacts with hydrogen sulfuric acid, it leads to the formation of FeSO4 plus H2S. This is a gas which has rotten egg smell. Rotten egg smell. Then there are other reactions which have the formation of nitrogen dioxide. No, that has fumes. That's fine. Okay, that is all. So now I would like from each one of you to tell me at least one characteristic with an example. So let us begin with Aryan. Aryan, tell me any one characteristics which you can tell according to you the reaction has taken place. Can I remove the screen so that I can only hear from you people and you don't see the screen?
I'm copying the example now.
Okay, fine. Tell me apart from what is visible on the screen, tell me any other point.
Ma'am, apart from the screen, ma'am, in general, I only know this much, ma'am. But
No, I'm
even
asking about the characteristic which I have explained today. Any one characteristic which you have learned out of these six, which you can tell that a reaction has taken place. You don't know any?
no, ma'am, I know, ma'am, but I didn't understand your question, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. So now it is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me any one characteristic.
Ma'am, like evolution of a gas, ma'am. Ma'am,
Okay.
in that they take hydrogen gas, no, ma'am.
Yes.
It will burst out of as a pop sound, ma'am.
Very
When
good.
it What?
When it
During
is
burning, ma'am.
released.
During
Yes,
burning.
when it is released. Zoha, can you tell me any characteristic of a
Ma'am, you
reaction?
can change the screen, ma'am.
Okay, I'll remove the screen only. So yeah, tell me any Zoha, tell me any one characteristic which you have understood in the entire class.
Ma'am, change in temperature,
Very good. It involves what two reactions?
exothermic and endothermic, and exothermic involves heat and endothermic absorbs heat.
Very good. So Dhanshu, can you tell me any one characteristic? Sudhanshu, I think he's not answering. Dhanandeep, can you tell?
Ma'am, change in state.
Very good. What can be the example for the same?
Ma'am, like ice turning into water.
But that is not a chemical change, dear.
Oh yeah.
The electrolysis of water.
Water.
Fine, good. Okay, then Dhriti, can you tell me another characteristic?
Ma'am, change in color.
Very good. Example?
Forming of rust on iron objects.
Very nice. Ganandeep,
Yeah, ma'am.
tell me any one characteristic.
Ma'am, I said you.
You have already told, okay. Abhigya, can you tell?
Ma'am, change in odor.
Change in
Odor.
odor. What could be the example then?
Ma'am, the rotten egg smell of iron and H2SO4.
The rotten smell is of H2S when the
Ah.
reaction occurs between iron sulfide and sulfuric acid. Fine.
Hmm.
Abhinav,
Ma'am,
yes, tell me.
endothermic and exothermic reaction. Change
So
in
these change in.
like endothermic and exothermic reaction, ma'am.
But what is the change? Change in
Heat. Like heat is
temperature.
temperature.
Temperature is the right word. Heat absorption or heat release. Okay, Shayan, can you be very quick and tell me?
Ma'am, formation of precipitate.
Very good. Formation of precipitate. Aman, can you tell me? Without example, just tell me the name. Examples you can learn.
Ma'am, sound.
Huh?
Sound.
No, I didn't tell about the sound. I told that this is a test of a gas.
Oh, then temperature.
Change in temperature. Fine. Who has not got the chance? Ayanija?
Ma'am, evolution of gases.
Yes, evolution of gases. Is there anyone who did not speak any one point? Sudhamshu?
Ma'am, I have not spoken.
Subhansh, tell me.
Change in color.
Yes, change in color. So children, I'll be uploading whatever we have studied today on the app. You can revise from there. And since you have a test on Sunday, in case you feel you have any doubt, you may ask me in the group. Fine? All the best everyone for the test. I hope you all enjoyed today's class. I'll see you all in the next week's class. And good luck for the test. Bye everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye everyone. Bye.